I'm so excited to welcome you all to Happy Go Lucky at Heart podcast. I have a mission to support others with undiagnosed autism to get a diagnosis because my mum fought a long battle. But please don't go, because this podcast is for absolutely everybody, especially mental health too. And I mean everybody, because I will share with you lots of unique yet personal stories from all age groups. So please meet your host, Vicky Kidson, otherwise known as me. Buckle up, because it's going to be a long mission. So enjoy and live life to the full. It was World Disability Day yesterday, with UN Women UK campaign for 16 days of activism to make a change for violence against girls. In this week's episode, I will be talking about autism and sexual abuse and how much more of a risk girls are with autism to be a victim of sexual abuse. Links are in the bio to where I found the information for this podcast episode. First, 9 out of 10 autistic women are victims of sexual assault. Many women with traits of autism or ADHD are more likely to be sexually abused as children, according to a study of 4,500 people. Little is still known about the risk factors that put such girls at a much greater chance of being sexually abused. They may be less able to understand social norms or recognize when something is dangerous. Some victims of sexual abuse also engage in risky behaviors such as substance abuse. This can make them more vulnerable and susceptible to future perpetrators. Researchers have found that people with certain traits exhibited the same risk as those who have full-blown conditions. People with autism or impulsivity seem to be as likely to say no as they are to say yes, says investigator Eric Pettersson, assistant professor of medical epidemiology and biostatistics at Karolinska Institute in Stockholm, Sweden. This is constant with most other research on the topic, which admittedly there isn't a lot of, says Andrea Roberts, a researcher at Harvard University who has been involved in this study. They did a study of twin traits. Pettersson and his colleagues analysed traits of autism and ADHD in 4,500 twins. 1,902 participants were male. The participants are part of the Child and Adolescent Twin Study in Sweden, which tracks all twins born in Sweden since 1992. When their children turned 9 or 12, the parents completed a 96-item survey screening for neurodevelopmental conditions. The questionnaire contains 17 items about autism traits and 19 about ADHD, with specific cutoff scores for each set of questions. As participants turned 18, they completed a questionnaire about traumatic offence and maltreatment, including sexual abuse. 256 women and 18 men reported having been sexually abused as children. The researchers found that the women who screened positive for autism had nearly 3 times the odds of having experienced sexual abuse as those who did not screen positive. Those who screened positive for ADHD doubled their odds of sexual abuse. The results for men with autism or ADHD weren't statistically significant, which may be indicative of the study being not big enough. A very small percentage of men reported having been sexually abused. Pettersson says it's unclear whether that's because men are not as often abused or if it's due to low self-reporting rate. The findings appeared on 23rd of March in the Journal of Child Psychology and Psychiatry. Children who have intellectual disabilities are known to be at risk for sexual abuse. Nina Sevlina, a clinical psychologist in clinical psychology of Columbia University, not involved with this study, says The study did not control for differences that may exist between those children. The link between sexual abuse and neurodevelopmental problems is stronger in identical twins who share the same genes. That it is in fraternal twins, and within identical twin pairs, girls with fewer problems are just as likely to report sexual abuse as their twins with more problems. These findings suggest inheritable factors contribute to their risk of sexual abuse, says Patterson. Many people who score well on this quiz might be perceived as being different and more likely to be targeted by some sexual offenders. But a lot of identical twins share the same environment, making it difficult to point out factors which may be influencing their personality and identity. For example, mental illness in a parent could play a role in how two different personalities or identities develop. Either way, clinicians have to make sure they screen children with autism or other conditions for sexual abuse. The findings also show that parents and children need to be educated about the risks they are exposed to. In a study that was published in Spectrum News of 5,000 children in Nebraska, a child with any type of intellectual disability is 4 times as likely to be sexually abused than a child without disabilities. There is little data available on how autism affects individuals, but research shows that many autistic people are more prone to mental health concerns. Moving on, here are some ways you can recognise and prevent sexual abuse. I got the information from Autism Speaks charity. You can see all the links where I got the information in the description. Parents, caregivers and friends can protect their loved ones by learning certain signs that may indicate victimization. It is important to remember that each person is different and can show different signs. Recognizing possible signs of abuse can help you to assist the victim in getting help and stopping the abuse as soon as possible. So these are the warning signs of sexual abuse. The American Psychological Association outlines behaviours common in children who have been abused. An increase in nightmares and or sleeping difficulties, anger outbursts, anxiety, depression, difficulty with walking or sitting, withdrawn behaviour, pregnancy or contraction of venereal diseases, particularly if under age 14, running away, refusal to change for gym or to participate in physical activities, regressive behaviours depending on the age, i.e. return to thumb sucking or bedwetting, reluctance to be left alone with a particular person or people, and sexual knowledge, language and or behaviours that are unusual and inappropriate for the age. For children with autism, the signs may manifest differently. In her article, Sexual Abuse of Children with Autism, Factors that Increase Risk and Interfere with Recognition of Abuse, Dr. Meredith Goldberg Adelson of Wilmot University notes, should a child with autism be sexually abused, the child's attempts to cope with or make sense out of that abuse may lead to an increase in the intensity and frequency of stimming behaviours, self-injurious behaviours and repetitive behaviours, or to the development of the new behaviours that were not previously present. For children with autism spectrum disorder, the sexual abuse may lead to inappropriate behaviours. However, these symptoms often get misinterpreted as being a sign of having autism. That is why it is crucial to make sure that both the abuse and autism are reported. Otherwise, such children might face significant consequences, like sending them this way or treating them with drugs they don't need. Take it very seriously when a child reports sexual abuse by a parent or another adult caregiver. So moving on, this is how you can prevent sexual abuse. The National Child Traumatic Stress Network provides some helpful tips on protecting children from sexual abuse. Teach children accurate names of private body parts. Avoid focusing exclusively on strange danger. Keep in mind that most children are abused by someone they know and trust. Teach children about body safety and the difference between okay and not okay touches. Let children know that they have the right to make decisions about their bodies. Empower them to say no when they do not want to be touched, even in a non-sexual way, i.e. politely refusing hugs and to say no to touching others. Make sure children know that adults and older children never need help with their private body parts, i.e. bathing or going to the bathroom. Teach children to take care of their own private parts, i.e. bathing, wiping after bathroom use, so they don't have to rely on adults or older children for help. Educate children about the difference between good secrets like surprise parties, which are okay but they are not kept secret for long, and bad secrets, those that the child is supposed to keep secret forever, which are not okay. Trust your instincts. If you feel uneasy about leaving a child with someone, don't do it. If you're concerned about possible sexual abuse, ask questions. The best time to talk to your child about sexual abuse is now. If you need any help, like getting help, discovering that someone close to you is a victim of sexual abuse is devastating. Once you know, step 1 is to report the abuse. If a child discloses abuse, it is critical to stay calm, listen carefully, and never blame the child. Thank the child for telling you and reassure him or her of your support. Call for help immediately. After learning a loved one has been abused, it is critical to take proper steps to get them help. The effects of sexual abuse can be disheartening for both the victim and their families. There are a number of treatments for children who have been sexually abused, including individual therapy, family therapy, group therapy, trauma-focused cognitive behavioral therapy, child-centered therapy. From American Psychological Association, no two situations of sexual abuse are the same. For the autism community, it is important to consider preferred communication and behavioral supports. When dealing with someone with autism, it is a good idea to work with professionals that have experience in medical field and incorporate therapists that have worked in the field before. Recovery is possible. Children can be very resilient in the face of abuse, and with effective treatment and supportive parenting, they can start to recover. Thank you so much for listening and supporting my podcast so far. You can support me and be a supporter of the show by buying me a coffee, link in the show notes. And again, if you want more information of all the information I shared, the links are in the show notes as well. So thank you. Off to the outro. Love you. Bye. Yet another wonderful interview. Much obliged for you to stay and listen to Happy Go Lucky at Heart podcast. If you enjoyed the show, please keep on boasting about it to your friends and family. And if you have any spare time, please help an independent podcaster get known. So please leave a 5-star review on whichever podcast platform you listen on, and click the link in the show notes for many more ways to connect with me. Bye! Mwah.